Bart, this is 107. The Point. Please press button now. No, number 1.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome. Sports Talk Media Network, all across the great state of South Carolina. I hope you had another great day today. Didn't get dumped on too much by the storms moving through the state of South Carolina. I was playing golf yesterday, not too far from you, Bergie. It's going to come by and have dinner with you.
I'm disappointed. I didn't even get an invite.
And I was just crushing it. I mean, I was stomping my opponent, beating them into the dirt. And then the clouds just cut loose on us. And, I mean, you wouldn't want me to come into your house. I would have been sloshing all over the place. And I don't mean with alcohol. I mean just dripping wet.
But I was a 3-iron from where you were yesterday. I'm really disappointed, Phil.
Well, I'm not surprised. If I was that close to you, I'm surprised it didn't hit your house. We played at Trace's in Florence. That is a really awesome nice golf course.
Yeah, it really
is. Really nice. Yeah.
We've had some tournaments out there in the past in my former life, and I played over there several times. It is a wonderful facility. Actually, 27 holes. You obviously didn't get a chance to see all 27. But
no.
Yeah, it's sort of intermixed into some of the high-rent district of West Florence. So, not where I live, but just like I said, about a 3-iron away from where I live.
Do you think the bad boy has ever blessed them with his presence on that golf course?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive.
I was just trying to beat his play over there. I was trying to beat his record, his score of 112. I think I easily eclipsed that.
We used to have, when I was working at the radio station here in town, we used to have a tournament the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It was a Carolina Clemson golf tournament. And had a lot of fun out at Trace's. And they do a terrific job. If shameless plug for them, but if you're looking in this area, if you're looking for a golf course to host an event, they handle it about as well as anybody I know around here.
I was very impressed for my first time over there, and I shall return. Well, been a busy weekend, as you know, with football camps going on, a lot of recruiting. Clemson got a football commitment today, another corner from Georgia, surprise. And South Carolina picked up a pair of basketball commitments from their backyard over the weekend. In fact, we'll be talking to one of the coaches of one of those players coming up here tonight at 7:05. The pickup they got on Sunday was a former player from AC Flora who's going to be playing this season out in Utah. He's a guy that came on in the summer and impressed Lamont Parrish and the staff and committed. Colin Murray Boyle, 6'8". And then this afternoon, 6'6", Arden Conyers, another player, had a good summer and impressed the Gamecocks from Westwood. And he committed to the Gamecocks as well. So they've got 2 commitments now in the books for the 2023 class. As far as the Clemson football commitment goes today, the Tigers continue to just hammer the state of Georgia.
It's remarkable the job they've done over there, Phil. I was looking at all the commitments they have landed by far. They still don't have a commitment from the state of South Carolina, but they have dominated the state of Georgia. It's amazing.
Yeah, yes, 10 commitments from Georgia. Shelton Lewis is the newest one, a corner, 5'11", 180. You know, Clemson is so stingy in a good way with their offers. They offer the amount of offers they put out every recruiting season is among the lowest in the country. And so they're quite picky. You know, they're looking for the right guy, the right fit for what they do. And around the state of South Carolina, they don't offer a whole lot of players. They offered Monroe Freeling from down at Oceanside, the offensive lineman. It does not look like at this point in time he's going to stay in state. They went after Marquis Anderson, but the Gamecocks beat Clemson head-to-head on Marquis Anderson. That was one they went after. They didn't make a big push for Xavier McLeod from Camden for whatever reason, nor did they make a big push for Montague Rames. I mean, that's a decision you make in your meetings your evaluation meetings
Sure.
among your coaches. You decide, okay, we want to go after this guy. We don't want to go after this guy. And you make that decision. You live and die with those evaluations, and you'll see down the road, was it smart
Mhm.
or not? And but yeah, they have pretty much got about half their class now is just made up of Georgia kids.
I just counted the story that you had earlier today on Shelton Lewis. He becomes the 10th player from Georgia to commit to the Tigers for the 2023 class. That is a remarkable job by Dabo Swinney and his staff to go into the backyard of the national champions and pull that many players. I realize Clemson could almost make a claim they're within Georgia boundaries, and they're not that far, but still, to be able to go in there and flush that many players out of the Peach State and bring them over here is an incredible job by that staff.
Well, here's the breakdown for Clemson in a nutshell: 10 from Georgia. They have 3 from Texas. They have 2 from Alabama. They have 2 from Florida and 1 from Pennsylvania. So the second most and 1 from DC and 1 from DC. So Georgia, number 1 most plentiful state for Clemson. The number 2 is Texas. Who would have thought that? With 3, Texas would be second if I'm not missing anybody here, state by state. So I think I got that right. So look, they evaluate. They like the players they're getting. They think they fit, and they've had good success. Mike Reed has had real good success recruiting cornerbacks out of the state of Georgia. It's paid off well for Clemson over the years. All right, so we got all that tonight on the program. More from the football camps. We are going to hopefully hear from Dabo Swinney later on. He's meeting with the media in just a few minutes after they wrap up practice up at Clemson. Hopefully, we'll be able to get that to you tonight. As for the Gamecocks, I was out at their practice. They had a little open period for their practice this afternoon. They moved their practice to the afternoon period. Got a chance to watch some of that. They were in helmets and shoulder pads, as I'm sure Clemson was today as well. And they were getting after it in the heat, no doubt about it. One thing I did notice, it looked like Dylan Wanham was back running with the first team at offensive tackle a little bit, though nothing is settled right now. Tyshawn Wanamaker is still competing there, but that will be good for South Carolina to get Wanham in a position where he can help at either one of the tackle spots. It helps them in depth and things like that. And of course, quarterback position, you still have very solidly there Spencer Rattler handling things. Luke Doty running with the second team. We're going to hear from Austin Stogner tonight, the transfer tight end from Oklahoma. He's running number 1 at tight end. Of course, Jaheim Bell could be number 1 tight end, or you put him at running back, or you put him at wide receiver, depending on how you want to play him. So again, South Carolina, they look good to me. I was telling some people over the weekend, because whenever somebody does talk to me, it's like, all right, well, what are the Gamecocks going to do?
Oh, yeah.
And my thought is this, Chris. I mean, it's very simple. This is a talented football team. Okay, now are you gonna? When I say talented, is it going to compare top to bottom to an Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State? No, no, no. But they have talent at individual positions. I mean, look, their quarterback could be outside of Bryce Young at Alabama. Their quarterback could be the second best quarterback in the SEC when it's all said and done. We'll have to wait and see, but it could be. Their tight end could be one of the best. And I'm talking about Stogner. Could be one of the best in the SEC. You throw Bell in there, you got 2 of the best in the SEC. Lloyd could be one of the best running backs in the SEC. Their corner or nickel, Cam Smith, be one of the best in the SEC. They could have pretty strong defensive front. Running out with the first team today was Strawn, Huntley, Pickens, and Tyreek Johnson. You got Hemingway, you got Webb, you got Birch, you got Fitton, you've got Gilbert Edmond, who's having a pretty good camp and moving up. My point is, they've got good players now across the board. Great players at every position? No, but good, solid players at every position, I would say yes. And I think it's going to be good enough to where I don't think you're going to see a Texas A&M type of game where, it was like running up against a brick wall. They couldn't block Texas A&M. Same offensive line this year, but a year older, a year stronger, a year bigger, a year smarter, an extra year working under the same offensive line coach. They should do better, and they get them at home against Texas A&M. I I don't think you're going to see them manhandled by like they were by Clemson, 30-0. Now I know Clemson's defense is going to be great.
Oh yeah.
But this offense, assuming everybody makes it to the finish line healthy, now things happen health-wise that change the entire dynamic. Just ask Clemson last year losing 28 scholarship players. That changed everything. So what I'm getting at here, it is not beyond reason to think this Gamecock football team can finish much better than 5th in the East and not win 8 or 9 regular season games. I don't think you should set your bar low at South Carolina around 6 or 7 wins. I think that's foolish. I don't want to, what is it they say? I don't want to write a check with my mouth,
Oh
but
yeah.
I can't,
Yeah.
my bank account can't, whatever it is. I don't want to, put myself, but my point is, I mean, I'll argue with anybody that, 6 or 7 wins, that should not be the expectation for this Gamecock football team. I think they can reach much higher than that with what I've seen and with the talent they've got on board.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think the expectation should be for them to improve. 8, 9 wins should be the goal this year. But then I see the coaches poll come out today, and they face 5 teams that are inside the top 25, and they face 3 teams that are inside the top 7.
Mm-hmm.
So they could be better than they were last year, considerably better than they were last year, especially offensively. And we may not realize that in terms of wins and losses because of the schedule that they face.
I give you that. But, I mean, if you're good and you're well coached and you play to your highest level and you just don't gift wrap a game to somebody, why shouldn't you beat Georgia at home? Why shouldn't you beat Texas A&M at home? Why shouldn't you handle a Kentucky on the road? Why shouldn't you beat Missouri at home or Tennessee or Florida? You can win all those games, I think, with the talent level that they've got. That's the point I'm trying to make. This is not some hodgepodge football team that was thrown together like it was last year after the turnover of coaches and, coming in late and having to piece things together and 4 different quarterbacks playing for you. This team is a long way from that. That's why I'm saying I think it's reasonable to think along the lines of 8-win or possible 9-win regular season for the Gamecocks.
Like I said, I think they're talented enough to do that. I just look at that schedule, and it's the same problem they have every year, and it's the same problem that everybody in the SEC has every year. I mean, Arkansas is sitting there thinking the same thing. Arkansas is sitting there thinking right now, we've got a team that can probably win 8, 9 games, but we have to beat South Carolina week 2 to make sure that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Gamecocks are thinking the same thing. We've got a team that could win 8 or 9 games, but we have to find a way to win on the road at Arkansas. We've got to finally get over the Kentucky hurdle. We've got to beat Missouri, teams we're supposed to beat, and figure out a way to finally beat Texas A&M because we have them at home, and maybe we're as talented. Certainly, you would think in terms of the frontline guys that we run out that are as talented as the Aggies have. So that's the thinking in the SEC. Yeah, everybody thinks they've got 8, 9, 10 wins in the bag if they can win against teams who also think they have 8, 9, 10 wins.
But it's never going to change.
No, it's not.
It's only going to get worse when Texas
Mm-hmm.
and Oklahoma join, and who else? So if you're South Carolina, man, I mean, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You keep recruiting at a high level, which they are. They're putting together a really nice recruiting class. You keep hitting the transfer portal, John, with success. You're going to find if they get 8 or 9 wins and the players are doing their job recruiting and talking things up and the word on Beamer and the way he runs things and what they have going on inside that program is so appealing. You're going to see other transfers want to come into this program, good players, and you can plug in particular holes by doing so. And that's what they've done this year at wide receiver and safety in particular.
Yep.
Oh, and quarterback. Yeah. And tight end. Yeah. So, I mean, I think this team is certainly capable of getting to 8 wins. I just don't think that, they should be looked at as a bottom feeder in the East. I think people are way off in putting them down there in the 5 hole in the East. Now, play this tape back come November and we'll see who's right. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
If they climb up 2nd or 3rd, I'm going to crow loudly. If they finish 5th or 6th, then I'll eat that crow. All right. We'll be back after the break.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs,
Good stop, guys.
why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
Get in your car here.
That's how you make a move.
Like Southern 500 big. The only thing bigger than the action will be the experience of seeing it live. And that
I got into the wall.
might just be too tough to take.
Bring it home, bring it home.
NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 3rd through the 4th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit SC Watermelon for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Gibson Insurance. Former Gamecock player Bo Mobley and former coach Stuart Lake want you on their team for all your insurance needs. Now, cost-effective solutions is what they're all about for the now and for the long term. They're licensed with every insurance company in the state. They've got offices in Columbia, Greenville, and Sumter. But if you're listening right now, let me direct you to call Bo and Stu today at 803-605-0029. That's 803-605-0029. Let my good friends take great care of you.
Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk since 2002. More than $572 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund Palmetto Fellow scholarships for the state's college-bound students. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins, and playing for fun is a win for education. Lines are open if you want to join us. Jump in on the conversation. Our poll question of the week. Well, it was low-hanging fruit.
It has generated some fun response. I will say that.
Yeah, we'll let Pat dive into some of those responses in a little bit and share them because there's been a lot of response to it. So the poll question of the week, we picked it up on the Gamecocks needing a new name for their live mascot. And so which of the following 4 offers that we put out there is your favorite, and you didn't like any of them, then feel free to leave us your own suggestion. Mm-hmm. So 165 votes are in, and clearly 60% of the votes are going to Dr. Pecker. That's Chris. That's Pat's. I came up with a new one last night, and it's got 20% of the votes. Spurmeister.
I like Spurmeister. I really do. I had not thought of that until you posted that. I kind of like that one.
Spurmeister. 13.3% Cockster, and then 6.7% Cockrock.
Did we get rid of Cocky Doodle Doo? I guess you could only fit 4 in
there. I
can
only get 4 in there. You know what? I couldn't remember that one. I was thinking to myself, it was Cocky something, Cocky Doodle something. And so I went with Spurmeister as my 4th choice.
Too.
Yeah, I kind of like Spurmeister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too.
But yes, it's been a wide variety of reaction to all of this since it went up. We'll go over some of those remarks a little bit later on in the program. As far as anything else of major importance going on today, besides the recruiting information that we've touched on, the South Atlantic Conference announced their preseason poll and their preseason all-conference team. And Newberry, the defending league champion, voted to do it again with 8 first-place votes, 118 total points. Lenore Ryan got the other 4 first-place votes. Then it was Wingate, Mars Hill, Tusculum, Barton, Virginia, Wise, Catawba, Carson Newman, Limestone, Emory Henry, and Erskine. They've grown to 12 teams now. Remember when it was the SAC 8?
Yes, I do. And gosh, most of the teams that were in the SAC 8 are no longer members of that league. It's crazy how much that league has changed. Great story about UVA Wise. When I was working with Presbyterian, they played them in a non-conference game many, many years ago on the road up in Wise, Virginia. Beautiful area. It's up towards the mountains of Virginia. They actually had just put in AstroTurf for their field turf, and it actually cost more money that and the scoreboard than anything else in the stadium, because they actually sold seats, because it was your typical sit on the hill type deal going down to the football field, and they would actually sell chairs that had the back legs cut off of them, so people could sit in the chairs and lean back against the hill. It was a remarkable scenario. I'm assuming they have improved themselves.
Great rivalry up there between Virginia Wise and Virginia Smartass when they play every fall. I mean, get it, Wise and Smart. Yeah. And please don't hold that against me. But that Virginia Wise, now a member of the South Atlantic Conference. Were they in there last year, or are they just now joining? I don't remember.
I think they may have maneuvered in the last couple of years, transitioned. But, yeah, they're a newcomer, as many of those schools are.
On the first team offense preseason, you've got quarterback Dre Harris of Newberry, running back Mario Anderson of Newberry, receiver Bryson Woodruff of Newberry, offensive lineman Cameron Thomason of Limestone, and long snapper Blake Arnault of Newberry. First team defense, you have got Marcus Morgan of Newberry, defensive back. He's the only one from the state on the first team defense. So there you go. By the way, we'll be commencing our annual Palmetto Pigskin Tour this week. We go to South Carolina State on Wednesday, Newberry on Thursday, and Benedict on Friday. So we crank that up. Looking forward to that. Always my favorite time of the year, getting around and seeing the good folks at the other schools in our state. By the way, our poll question that we retired from last week, a nickname that would best fit the Gamecock offense this year. So we ended up 458 votes, 75.5%. Just want to go with Beamer Ball. 13.3% like Rattler's Venom. Or just the Venom offense with Rattler at quarterback. The Venom. Maybe I should have worded it that way. The Venom offense with Rattler at quarterback. Pure Vandalism, play off of Josh Van, got 8%. And Lloyd's of Touchdowns got 2.8% of the votes. All right, let's hit a quick phone call before the bottom of the hour. Andy in Columbia. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you? Good to have you with us.
Mr. Corn, Chris, Pat. I say the Rat Pack would be a good name for the offense.
I like that one too.
Rat Pack. Oh,
Yeah,
Rattler, Rat Pack. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You know what? That's not bad.
That's really
Of
good.
course it's not. I came up with it.
Well, why didn't you call it in last week when it mattered?
I've been ill.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'm feeling better, so thank you very much. Now, I saw something today. It's kind of off sports, but my Lord, your wife deserves the Medal of Honor as of Friday, 43 years. Congratulations to that woman to be able to put up with you for 43 years.
You mean this coming Friday? I didn't miss it, did I? Oh, it's this coming Friday.
It's coming up Friday.
Oh,
43
I was going to give Phil a hard time, Andy, for not letting us know.
You said Friday. I was thinking, wait a minute. I think it's just you're right. It is
coming up Friday.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. You're right about that. She's a trooper. She is a trooper. No question. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And congratulations to Coach Parrish for, I should say, the last 3 recruits he's gotten in here, going local.
Yeah.
That's what we've all been asking for.
Mm-hmm.
And, hopefully we can get some of these bigger name locals too, like the young man out of Lexington and so forth and so on, and keep it moving and keeping it going. This weekend, I'll tell you what, I just got over COVID. I think listening to Chip Carey for 5 games is worse than COVID. I almost had to send him a plate of cheese to go with his wine.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, the Mets winning had to make you feel a little better.
Oh, of course, but having to listen to Chip Carey for 5 games made me feel worse. But you know what? The big difference was runners in scoring positions, 323.
Something the Yankees have forgotten all about. The Jordan Montgomery curse on the Yankees. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Muggy this evening with a low of 74. Tomorrow, more clouds than sun. There's a 30% chance of afternoon downpours and a high reaching 92. Wednesday is hot, muggy, and could be wet. While we get cooler the second half of the week with highs in the upper 80s. Looking to the weekend very nice with sunshine and less humidity. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
You've seen the news. You've talked to your friends. You may have even looked around yourself. Home prices are nuts. Seems like no one is offering any kind of discount, except Lexington Discount Homes. Discount is their middle name. Quality homes that fit your budget with the size, model, and floor plan that your family needs. You can still afford your dream home at Lexington Discount Homes. Augusta Highway near Ballpark Road, 803-951-1900 or LexingtonDiscountHomes.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. David McCullough, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author who's lovingly crafted narratives on subjects ranging from the Brooklyn Bridge to Presidents John Adams and Harry Truman, made him among the most popular and influential historians of his time, has died. He was 89. And Olivia Newton-John, the Grammy-winning superstar who reigned on pop, country, adult contemporary, and dance charts with such hits as You're the One That I Want, and won countless hearts as everyone's favorite Sandy in the blockbuster film version of Grease, has died. She was 73. She died at her Southern California ranch, according to her husband. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 29 points, but the Nasdaq dropped 13, the S&P lower by 5, oil up $1.75 to $90.76 a barrel. More details at srnnews.com.
If you're an avid shooter or you're new to shooting, Shooter's Choice is your paradise. A firearms specialty store with all types of firearms, ammunition, accessories, AR platform rifles, shotguns, hunting rifles, and much more. Shooter's Choice has the largest and best selection of firearms in the area. Shooter's Choice is the oldest, the most professional firearms dealer in the Midlands. They've served us for more than 30 years. Family owned, they've never let themselves lose that hometown feel. You go into Shooter's Choice, you'll get experts who hunt and shoot. It's not like some big box store. Their staff has decades of experience. You just won't get this anywhere else. From the classics to the newest cutting-edge products anywhere in the firearms world, they buy, sell, and trade firearms. They have an indoor firing range for handguns and hunting rifles. If you don't want to spend the gas money, hop on ShootersChoiceSC.com and shop online 24/7. Whatever you choose, Shooter's Choice will make it easy on you. In West Columbia at 944 Sunset Boulevard or online, ShootersChoiceSC.com. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted Best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk on this Monday night edition, the Monday after the last weekend without major football, because now we had the one game, the Hall of Fame game, right? Now we get into the full slate of NFL preseason games coming up, and we've got jamborees coming up in high school football this week over the weekend, and the next week is week 0 in South Carolina as we get the high school football season up and running. And the high school football scoreboard, once again, across the state of South Carolina, South Carolina's only statewide high school football scoreboard. Every Friday night, we bring you every score and as many reports as we can get on the air to you. Bring all that to you every Friday night. So we're getting ready to crank that up again. Looking forward to that as well. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We do have the USA Today coaches preseason poll out today. If the playoffs were today, it would be Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson.
Wow. Where have we heard that before?
Almost every year. Notre Dame is 5, and then Michigan, then Texas A&M, Utah, Oklahoma, Baylor. That's your top 10. Then it's Oklahoma State, Oregon, NC State, Michigan State, Southern Cal, Pittsburgh, Miami, Texas, Wake Forest, Wisconsin. Rounding out the top 25 are Kentucky, Cincinnati, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Houston. And you touched on this earlier. I put a story up on our website with the poll earlier this afternoon and kind of broke it down as far as the USC and Clemson schedules are concerned. So USC will face 3 top 10 teams, at least they're top 10 right now. Will face 3 top 10 teams, Georgia, Clemson, Texas A&M, and 2 others in the top 25, Kentucky and Arkansas. And Clemson will play 1 top 10 team in Notre Dame and 3 others in the top 25, NC State, Miami, and Wake Forest. So,
are you surprised that Michigan was not ranked a little bit higher and maybe over Ohio State after the year the Wolverines had last year?
Well, I mean, Ohio State's just,
or is it just easy to say Ohio State? Yeah, exactly.
Just a natural to put Ohio State in there with the players they have, and they're going to be good. Ohio State. I mean, Michigan got them last year, all right, but then look what happened to Michigan when they got to the postseason. They got embarrassed in the playoffs. If my memory's right, didn't they get hammered in their playoff game last year?
Yes,
I think they did. I think they got hammered, and so it kind of takes a little bit away from what they accomplished. And Ohio State's just Ohio State. They're going to be there almost every year. Georgia, everybody. Alabama, Clemson. It's the same suspects every year.
Well, if you're going to take Michigan's result against Georgia into consideration, because that's who beat them in the semis, then you have to hold a lot of teams accountable for that. I mean, Clemson may have played Georgia the best of anybody, and they couldn't score them. They may still be out there and not able to score against Georgia's defense last year.
And Georgia didn't score on Clemson's defense.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you look at Ohio State and C.J. Stroud, was he like one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the country, you'd say? Travion Henderson, he's one of the top running backs in the country. Marvin Harrison stepping up at wide receiver. The thing they have to replace is wide receiver. I think that's where they got hit the hardest with the players leaving, but they recruit extremely well at wide receiver. They have 2 or 3 starters back on their offensive line. And then you look at their defense, and they've got a smattering of returnees on the defensive side, 6 on offense, 8 on defense. So they got a good number of their defense returning. We'll see what happens. They're going to open up against Notre Dame. So one of those teams is going to take a ding right there at the beginning of the season. and really have to. And that's going to be in Columbus. And so, probably going to be Ohio State winning that game. They'll probably beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame will drop. They'll have to win the rest of their games to get back in the conversation. What else does Ohio State have that could be scary for them? They get Wisconsin at home. They play at Michigan State. They play at Penn State.
There's a lot of talk by
Michigan
James Franklin
at
that
home.
this is the year for Penn State.
Yeah. No,
we've
there's
heard
been a
that
lot of
before.
smoke come out of Happy Valley in recent years, and they couldn't back it up. So, I'd say Ohio State's got a pretty good setup here to run the table and be back in the playoffs once again. They got a pretty good situation ahead of them. Here's some information from David Hood at Clemson today. They got a chance to watch the Tigers for a few open periods. They had a bunch of NFL scouts on hand there as well. And this was their third practice. They didn't practice on Sunday. USC did practice Sunday. The Gamecocks won't take a day off until Wednesday. Titans, Bucks, Jets, Lions, Texans were among the pro teams there. Levon Kirkland was on hand as well. They spent a couple of periods on kickoff coverage. And let's see here. Wade Woodaz, freshman linebacker, drew some praise from Dabo Swinney during that coverage. And David Hood writes, Levante Bentley was also a man out there. Woodaz took reps at the Sam spot. Just picking out some notes here. He's talking about the student managers using these oversized gloves to try and distract the receivers. Ngata was in yellow. Stellato was full go. He took off his green. He was full go today. So Barrett Carter, he said, very explosive out there. Did not see defensive tackle Trey Williams during stretching or drills. Uyangalele had a pretty deep ball to Bo Collins. He said Cade Klubnik was accurate all over the field. And so Dabo Swinney, I'm sure, will have more coming up, Pat.
Just one more quick note from practice today. John Blau of the Post and Courier pointed out that freshman All-American safety Andrew Makuba was returning punts today at practice. I just found that a little interesting. Certainly not a coach. They know what's best, but it just is a bit curious to me after you just lost Landon Zanders, another safety, unfortunately retiring from the sport. Just seemed interesting to me that you would risk your All-American safety's health returning punts.
By the way, I'll take the 23 points.
The what now?
The 23. You're telling me here. You sent me a note. I guess you're saying Georgia will beat South Carolina 34-11. Is that a score?
No, that's the Michigan score.
Yeah,
you were asking how bad Michigan lost. I was just trying to help you. That they lost 34.
Well, I'll take 20 points anyway in the Georgia South Carolina game.
That game's almost always closer than that.
Well, I mean, I saw where Georgia's a 3-touchdown pick. I'll take it. Give me 21 points.
Yeah, I'll take the Gamecocks in that.
Yeah, I think I'm sure people are jumping all over that, and that line's going to change over time. Oh, that was that final then, 34-11.
Yes.
I knew Michigan had gotten dominated.
Yeah, and they didn't score till right there at the end either.
Yeah. So I had a chance.
Pat brings up an interesting question, though, about Makuba returning punts for Clemson, and this may change, obviously, between now and their first game against Georgia Tech, but I'd be pretty comfortable if Will Shipley were back there, or even Will Taylor returning punts for them. Wouldn't you, if you're Dabo?
I would think so, with their speed in their hands. I don't know. Maybe Makuba was just back there, just to take a look, for them to take a look at him and see what he could do.
Find out now. Yeah, now's the time to find all that stuff out.
All right, so the other day at Gamecock Media Day, I had a chance to go one-on-one with several players, including, for the first time, Austin Stogner, the transfer tight end from Oklahoma. Here's our conversation. First of all, how has the transition gone for you making that move from Oklahoma here to South Carolina into the Gamecocks?
It's been good, going from the spring where I was kind of by myself in Dallas working out, and then finally getting a part of the team, being around the guys. It's been really awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Has it helped to have a head coach here that you knew and a quarterback here that you knew?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's familiar faces around there, so when you come in, you don't really know anybody besides those guys. It helps you get acclimated and meet other guys, and they've been really helpful, so it's been good.
What have they asked of you so far since you've been here and you've been able to work with the team, the coaches some? What kind of things are they asking of you?
Just to be the standard, which is show up every day, work as hard as you can, and it'll all work out. There's some stuff I've been doing to get better as a player, and there's stuff like right here that I've been, in workouts I've been doing really good. So that's what that asked me.
How much of a comfort level does Spencer have with you when you're on the field in terms of you guys knowing each other, you knowing his moves, he knowing your moves?
Like a lot, because I've known him for a long time. It goes back to like high school. We've been doing these camps together, so we've thrown and catched a lot, and he knows what I like, and I know where he puts his ball, what puts the football, and so we're able to make a lot of big plays.
What will fans see from you? Are you a guy who likes to detach and get down the seam and make big plays down the field, or occasionally like to line up in there and throw a block? What do you like to do?
I like to view myself as a guy who kind of does it all. So, you'll see me in line, you'll see me running routes, but just this year I'm just going to play hard and it'll all work out for itself.
What do you think of Jaheim Bell?
He's a really, really good player. He's really athletic. He makes some really good plays down the field. He's electric with the ball in his hand, and it'll be fun to be on the field at the same time as him and be able to use us. Coach Sad will be able to use us in different packages, and so it'll be great to use both of our skill sets.
Have you been able to draw any kind of comparison between Oklahoma and South Carolina football? I'm talking about you come from a established national program to one that's aspiring to get there with a rabid fan base. You come from a rabid fan base. You see comparisons, difference between the two?
I'm here right now. I love where I came from, and they're going to do great, and they've always had a great history. But, I'm at South Carolina now. There's a lot of great things here, so I'm just going to focus on where I'm here right now. And this place is up and coming, and there's some great people. The people in this facility are really special, and I think they'll take us to good places.
And when you look at the offense, you're used to a potent offense at Oklahoma. What do you see this offense doing with Spencer, you, and some of the other guys that you have, some of the weapons they have?
A lot of similar things. Football is football, so there's, the goal is to put the ball in the end zone. So I think we'll do a lot of that, and it's obviously a different style of offense, but it's been good, and I think it helps. I think our skill sets are both me and Spencer's can be better in this offense, but like the old offense was great too, but I think that this one really fits us well, the type of players that we are. So it'll be fun to get in this offense.
Okay, Austin Stogner going to be a big weapon for Spencer Rattler in the Gamecock offense this year and give them another quality weapon to go to. And this is why I'm talking about the talent level. When you've got a Stogner and you've got a Bell and you've got a Van, and you've got a Wells and you've got a Leggett, that's got to really worry defensive coordinators. This is a young man that has caught 47 passes in his career, 654 yards, average about 14 yards a catch, 8 touchdowns in his career. And in 2020, had 26 catches. So he's got good experience. He can block. He can get down the field. This was just another quality pickup out of the transfer portal, John, for this offense. It just makes it that much more talented.
Does he remind you? Do you see him sort of fitting in a role that, say, Hayden Hurst had? Now, I realize that's sacred ground for Gamecock tight ends, but he sort of reminds me of that guy who can block and go catch passes, or maybe even a Jared Cook. I think he's different, obviously, than Jaheim Bell. I think Bell brings a different dynamic to the fold, but I look at Stogner as just a true tight end. And he seems to remind me a good bit of somebody like Hayden Hurst.
I would say a Hayden Hurst, for sure. I would not say he's until we see him, of course. But Jared Cook was a very special tight end. look at his NFL career, and very
Justice Cunningham
athletic.
Has had a better comparison.
Well, Justice I thought was more of a blocker than he was a receiver, and a guy that just lined up and used his strength and his size against you. Really wasn't a guy that you would count on too much in the throwing game. This is a guy they'll be counting on. And I think you could see formations where you've got Stogner and you've got Bell splitting out, you've got Van, you've got Wells to the other side. I can see all kinds of combinations. Throw in a DeCarrion Joyner in there. Haven't mentioned him. Throw him in there. Good gracious. It's what I'm talking about. And you got the trigger man to get him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if the line plays up to its capability, this is an offense that can move the football and should score some points, and a lot of points.
Well, if they don't, it won't be for lack of having the players, okay? It'll be bad calling or be bad execution. Now they got to go out and play. Don't get me wrong. They're not so good and so talented they can just line up and they're going to just, roll right over you. They got to play and they got to execute and they got to protect the football. And the offensive line has got to be twice as good as it was last year. Is that possible with the same players? These are the same players that couldn't block Texas A&M's defensive front last year. Remember, they were in negative in total offense in the second half. Same with Clemson. Yeah. Can they be twice as good? They're going to need to be twice as good. If they're not, what would that be? 50% better?
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're not, then that could really, back things up.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career. Just like Kristen, your passion is our purpose.
Time for the recruiting report here on this Monday edition of Sports Talk, brought to you by our good friends at Seawells. Brand new week, of course, a brand new opportunity to get over to Seawells and enjoy the daily luncheon buffet and check out that menu at Seawells and see what they have coming up. Have we checked out the menu yet to see what they have coming up this week? I need to plan my week around this, Pat. So what do we have?
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and there's a nice week ahead, Corn, and I think you'll especially like the finish line. Tomorrow, though, Tuesday, they will bring you carved rosemary pork loin along with southern fried chicken.
Hi, Rosemary.
There you go. And grilled sausage with peppers and onions. Wednesday, celebrating Thanksgiving. Little carved turkey with cornbread dressing, gravy, southern fried chicken, and fried pork chops. Thursday, pulled pork, southern fried chicken, and grilled hamburger steak with onions. And ending the week, capping things off with an RBF, little roast beef Friday to go along with southern fried chicken, fried fish nuggets, and don't forget dessert, sides, and salad.
Fantastic. You hardworking men and women of South Carolina, when you are in Columbia and you are looking for that place to eat and you want to, fill yourself up, it's basically, if you break it down by the gallon, it's cheaper than a gallon of gas. It's only $13 for their buffet, and you can probably eat 3 or 4 gallons of food off of that, along with the beverage and the dessert and everything else. And, of course, the very best in the catering business, that's Seawells as well, 803-771-7385, SeawellsCateringSC.com. And you're looking for parking for Gamecock football, they got parking spots as well give them a call, 803-771-7385, or email them, seawellscatering@gmail.com. All right, so to catch up on some things, today, Clemson football, cornerback Shelton Lewis, 5'11", 180, Stockbridge, Georgia. Third commitment to the Tigers at corner, all from Georgia, as we mentioned earlier. That's 10 in the class from Georgia. And the Tigers had Lewis connected with the other two commitments from two of the commitments from Georgia who were on his 7-on-7 team, linebackers D. Creighton and Jamal Anderson, and cornerback Avion Terrell. That would be 3 corn, not 2. And also, just to correct the math earlier, what's the deal on being twice as good as last year? That'd be 100% improved, not 50%, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But 200% improved would be double that. Right, Chris?
And also impossible. For all you commitments out there, you cannot commit more than 100% to a school. Can't be 150% committed. You can't be 1,000% committed. You can only be 100% committed.
As of May 1st, Lewis had a top 5 of Arkansas, Boston College, Pitt, North Carolina, and Vanderbilt. At one time, he was 25% committed to Pitt, but he decommitted from the Panthers in late June. He also looked hard at North Carolina, where he took an official visit in June. He didn't get to Clemson until the cookout on July 25th. That's when Reed and Dabo Swinney made their offer with his dad and other family members present. From that point, Clemson moved to the top of his list. Some of the other offers were Maryland, NC State, Duke, and Mississippi State. Last season, he had 31 tackles. He broke up 8 passes. He's also a state champion in the 400 meters, winning the event last May with a time of 48.04 seconds. 48.04. That gives Clemson 19 commitments for their class, 5 in the secondary. All right, basketball, South Carolina, 2 days in a row, picked up commitments from local guys. Lamont Paris and the staff going after these guys locally, seeing them this summer in workouts and camps and AAU competition, liking them, offering them, and getting them. Today it was 6'6" Arden Conyers of Westwood. And his coach, John Combs, says he's an extremely humble, unselfish player, hardworking, excellent three-point shooter, lethal as a catch and shoot three-pointer, better than average shooting the 3 off the dribble. So he likes him a lot. Says he's a great kid to coach. And he averaged 18 points, 6 rebounds per game last season, shot 39% from 3. USC was his only so-called major offer. He did take official visits to Winthrop, Furman, and Georgia Southern. And then on Sunday, it was 6'8" Colin Murray Boyles of AC Flora announcing his commitment to the Gamecocks. He was at AC Flora, going to play at Wasatch Academy in Utah this coming season. And he was a 4A player of the year last season, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 5 blocks per game, had a strong summer performance, and that's when the Gamecocks stepped up their interest. He told us, Murray Bowles, back in June, how much he loved the coaches at South Carolina, loves the way Paris coaches, a lot of skill guys, and he thinks he will fit into the area of play there at South Carolina quite well. And they like how he also, Murray Boyles, also distributes the basketball extremely well. He also had offers from SMU, New Mexico State, Jacksonville, Wofford, St. Bonaventure, Coastal, Belmont, Appalachian, Wilmington, and North Carolina A&T. So to a few other notes, USC target, wide receiver Carmelo Taylor won the Virginia track championships, 100 and 200 meters over the weekend. Another target, defensive end Nicholas Harbor, won the 17 to 18-year-old 200 meters at the AAU Junior Olympics in a time of 20.96. He also posted that he recorded a new personal best in the 100 meters of 10.21. This guy plays tight end and defensive end. He is something special. 6'7" Cohen Carr of Greenville Early College will announce his commitment tomorrow. He took unofficials to Clemson and USC and officials to Indiana, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Michigan State. In baseball, 2024 left-hander Cade Pilgrim, 5'10", 155 of Clover, he committed to USC. There you go. That is the recruiting on this Monday night. Check it out on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting to take you to our stuff and stuff that we retweet. And we'll be back at the top of the hour break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The United States is sending another $1 billion in new military aid for Ukraine. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The latest round of assistance amounts to the biggest delivery of rockets, ammunition, and other arms so far. The new shipment is going straight from Department of Defense stocks to Ukrainian forces. The U.S. pledge of support comes as analysts warn that Russia was moving troops and equipment in the direction of the southern port cities to stave off a Ukrainian counteroffensive. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The white man who shot and killed Ahmaud Arbery, a black man that he chased in Georgia, gets a life sentence for committing a federal hate crime.
Travis McMichael's punishment is largely symbolic. He was sentenced earlier this year to life without parole in a Georgia state court for Arbery's murder. Inside court, he didn't speak. Outside court, in the pelting rain, Marcus Arbery, the 25-year-old victim's father, said McMichael had shown his son no mercy, and he deserves the same, to rot in state prison.
That's the thing that really bothered me real bad. We didn't ask for mercy. They didn't give him no mercy that day.
McMichael, his father, and their neighbor said they thought Arbery was a burglar. His mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, says the sentence was just.
I feel every time, every day.
Audio courtesy WJXX. I'm Julie Walker.
David McCullough, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author whose lovingly crafted narratives on subjects ranging from the Brooklyn Bridge to Presidents John Adams and Harry Truman made him among the most popular and influential historians of his time, has died. He was 89 years of age. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 29 points, but the NASDAQ dropped 13, the S&P 500 lower by 5, oil up $1.75 to $90.76 a barrel. More on these stories at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Primaries in several states tomorrow.
The Republican matchup in the Wisconsin gubernatorial primary elections features competing candidates endorsed by former President Donald Trump and his estranged Vice President Mike Pence. Wisconsin Democrats are picking a U.S. Senate candidate to face two-term Republican Senator Ron Johnson for control of the closely divided U.S. Senate. In Minnesota, U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar is facing a primary challenger who helped defeat a voter referendum to replace the Minneapolis Police Department with a new Department of Public Safety. Meanwhile, voters in Vermont are picking a replacement for the U.S. Senate's current longest-serving member, Senator Patrick Leahy. Leahy's upcoming retirement has opened up 2 seats in Vermont's tiny congressional delegation and an opportunity for the state to send a woman to represent Vermont in Washington for the first time. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Muggy this evening with a low of 74. Tomorrow, More clouds than sun. There's a 30% chance of afternoon downpours and a high reaching 92. Wednesday is hot, muggy, and could be wet. While we get cooler the second half of the week with highs in the upper 80s. Looking to the weekend very nice with sunshine and less humidity. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Good to be back with you. Hour number 2 on this Monday edition of Sports Talk from Columbia and from the PD. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. More of your phone calls coming up if you want to join in a little bit later on. We do have a busy hour ahead. Joshua Staley, the head basketball coach over at Ridgeview, used to be at AC Flora. He'll be joining us in just a moment. We'll update some of the other news notes of the day. Hopefully get our hands on some Dabo Sweeney audio for you. In fact, I'm seeing a tweet here. He is talking to the media right now. Sweeney's saying that Adam Randall is trending toward possibly being available sometime in September. He ran the fastest time of any receiver the other day, coming off an ACL in the spring. Once again, they do a great work up there in getting you over the ACL injury that you inevitably will have. And we'll update some of the other news notes of the day for you as well here on Sports Talk. But right now, USC basketball, flurry of activity for the Gamecocks, picking up a couple of commitments, one today, one yesterday. And tonight we're going to focus on the one they got yesterday, Colin Murray Boyles, 6'8" power forward at AC Flora, formerly, but transferring out to Wasatch Academy in Mount Pleasant, Utah. And his coach at AC Flora, now the head coach at Ridgeview, but his coach at AC Flora, Joshua Staley, joining us here on Sports Talk. Won a state championship last year, stepping into a program that won a state championship last year. So either you can't win or you can't lose. It's great to have you with us. How are you?
All is well. No complaints. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. How many times do people come up to you and say, are you related to Dawn Staley?
Man, I get it all the time. It's just an honor to be thought of when they hear my last name in the same realm as Dawn. She's a great person. I love her spirit. So I get it all the time.
That's fantastic. We were just talking, too. Now, you played your high school ball at HKT, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was your graduation year?
1998.
1998. Okay, I'm trying to think. Did you play in the state championship game by chance against Raymond Felton Jr., or was that after you?
No, I coached. I was coaching on that HKT staff when we played against Raymond Felton in the state championship. I was an assistant coach on that staff.
Oh, well, you know, I am a native Latin. I am from Latta. In fact, his dad and I were high school teammates. Yeah, I was at that game, and it was great. I was sitting amongst HKT people, and there was a lady behind me, and she was kind of screaming like, there's my boy, pointing at one of the players on the team. And I said to her, well, that's my boy out there in the green of Latta. She goes, which one's your boy? And I told her the number. I think Raymond wore, I can't remember what he wore, what his number was. And she said, Raymond Felton's your boy? I said, yes, ma'am, he sure is. And then he went out and scored. I think he put 48 on you that day, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it was 45.
45.
He put 45 on everybody, Phil.
He was something special. But anyway, I know you guys had a special year last year, and a special player for you, Colin Murray Boyles, 6'8", 240, power forward. What kind of player is South Carolina getting in him?
Man, they are getting, first and foremost, they're getting a tremendous young man. Like, he's a great person off the court. He has high character, comes from a great family, has a brother that plays professionally, so he has good DNA, and he's been guided the right way. His parents invest a lot in him. As far as basketball, I think they're getting a very high-level player. They're getting a guy that's going to be able to contribute right away on both ends of the floor. He can switch and defend basically any position, especially in ball screens. We live in such a high usage of ball screen era in basketball, so he's going to be able to really help with that. And they're just getting a great person. I mean, I know that sounds cliche, but that's important in sports.
Oh, no question about it. What's the history there with South Carolina since Coach Paris took over? They saw him this summer, and obviously he excelled. And how did it get to the point where Coach Paris and the staff fell in love with him and vice versa and ended up offering him?
I mean, I just think they liked what they saw. I mean, obviously, Frank Martin and his staff was already, recruiting Colin a little bit. They were seeking him. They were coming by the gym, and Coach Paris came in and really dialed in on that relationship. And they loved what they saw over the summer. They loved what they saw in the spring. And he played with Upward, with, Kurt Willer and C.L. Butler's organization, and he did such a great job. And they just fell in love with him.
What do you see as some of the areas this season when he goes out to Utah to play out there that he should focus on, that he needs to improve on before he gets to a level like South Carolina in the SEC?
Just continue to work on his body, get bigger, get stronger, get faster, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because playing in the SEC, obviously the game's going to be faster. Have to be way more mentally tough than you would be as a high school player. But just continue to go through the process. Just trust the process in all aspects, not just when it's going well for you, but when things aren't in your favor also. Just trust the entire process.
Talking with Joshua Staley, head coach at Ridgeview, formerly of AC Flora, talking about his fine player from Flora, Colin Murray Boyles, headed to South Carolina. Now, you know what the critics will say, and that is, well, South Carolina was his only major offer. He's got maybe a lot of development ahead of him, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about that? Is he a diamond in the rough kind of guy that Lamont Paris and the staff there stumbled upon and can develop into a big time player in the SEC? What does the offer list mean in your mind?
I mean, that means that Coach Paris and his staff did a tremendous job of evaluating talent. He's probably the second best shot blocker I ever coached in my life. And the only reason I say second best is because Naila Jameson Myers plays professionally right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a great job of evaluating the talent. You can call him a diamond in the rough, and the critics can say one thing, but I know Colin Murray Boyles is going to put in the work. He's going to continue to grow because he's a process kid. He's one of those kids. He wasn't ranked. He wasn't highly sought after, but he just kept working and kept putting in the work. And your process is your process. You don't have to worry about anyone else's. And if each recruitment situation is different. South Carolina is a home state situation. If you look at the history of South Carolina, basically in all sports, they really do well when they have kids from their state. And I think that's been a focus of Coach Lamont Paris and his staff, and I think it's going to really work out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Goes dovetailing off of that, and he probably won't get a chance to play with Gigi Jackson, who I'm sure you'd like to have back for another year at Ridgeview. But nonetheless, how important do you believe it was with Gigi staying at home, for him to stay at home, for Colin to stay at home, and maybe start to develop some of that South Carolina pipeline here within the Palmetto State, staying at home and playing in Columbia?
It was very important. You have to see that, your top players are willing to make the investment and stay in state and represent their own state. There's absolutely nothing wrong if the kid chooses to go out of state, because when it comes to college, you got to do what's best for you. But I think it was amazing that Gigi decided to flip and stay in South Carolina. And I think that is going to have an impact on a lot of kids to come, because worst case scenario, think about it. One of the number one players in the country stayed home, so there's a chance it can work out for me.
Don't you kind of wish deep down that Gigi would have decided to stay in high school and want to play for you one year there at Ridgeview? That would have made the transition a little easier for you.
I mean, obviously, I would want that deep down inside, but that would have been a selfish desire. So
Yeah.
I quickly got over that. When you got a kid as talented as Gigi, you gotta let him go, and you gotta let him and his family make the decision to explore and do what they feel is best for them. But yeah, heck yeah, I would have loved for Gigi to stay and come back and lead this program. But that would have been what was best for Ridgeview and myself, not what was best for Gigi. So in this profession, you always got to put yourself last. And I'm really, really excited to go to those games and see Gigi play.
Well, let me ask you, since obviously you know him well and you've coached against him and maybe worked with him some in some settings. I mean, the fans are going to expect him to come in and be a savior of the basketball program, just put everything on his shoulders and elevate them into a top 25 type team with the other transfers coming in. I mean, you got a bunch of, I don't know if it's hard or not. You're a coach. You tell me. You got 8 new players and a new staff all coming together in a relatively short amount of time. Yeah, I know they've been working out and everything here for a little while, but I mean, it's not easy to play basketball at this level and win when you're together 2 or 3 years. What about all this coming together at one time, brand new?
Yeah, I don't think it's really fair to expect Gigi to come in and be a savior. Like, if you want to keep things logical and keep things into like a realistic perspective, everything takes time to develop. I think it was great that he committed, but I don't think it's fair to himself to put pressure on his shoulders and try to put it all on his back and say, okay, we're going to turn it around and win 25, 30 games. That's not even fair to Coach Paris because it takes time to get your program to where it needs to be. I think they're going to compete. I love what Coach Paris is doing. I was able to see some of his practices. I like the culture that he's building. It just takes time. So I would advise fans to have more of a supportive mindset instead of like, oh man, we're going to be a top 25 team. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
What do you like most about his game? Talking about Gigi here, what stands out in your mind as a coach?
I think his game, it's so diverse, right? Obviously, he's a kid that's 6'10", so he can play around the rim. I think he defends at a high level. He's an exceptionally really good shot blocker and rim protector. He handles the ball really well for his size and ability. He's been working on his shot in the off season, so he shoots it a lot better than what people expect. The few times I was able to work with him, I was telling him to shoot that thing up and over, and so his shot has really gotten better, and I just like his overall game because it presents so much diversity. He's good enough to play on the wing, and if you want to play small ball, he can play the 5. If you want to go traditional, he can play the 4. So I just think he brings so much diversity. That's why his game translates so well to the NBA. But with all that being said, the kid's going to have opportunities to develop. Like, every great player had a chance to develop. I remember Kobe shooting the air ball against the Jazz, and I remember LeBron taking a minute to make the playoffs when he first got in the NBA. So it's going to take time. We just got to be patient and be there for him when he needs us.
Joshua Staley with us for a couple of more moments, the head coach at Ridgeview High School, formerly of AC Flora, talking some high school basketball. And, Coach, back to the point about keeping kids at home and how important that is for South Carolina, Clemson, Coastal, you name it. How big of an impact do you believe, and I'm sure you've worked with him, that Kerry Rich might have on the USC program?
I thought that was one of the most important hires in the last, probably 25 years of South Carolina basketball.
Wow.
Again, South Carolina is a very personal state. It's not very big, so we don't have the population of a New York or a California. So believe it or not, everyone almost knows everyone. So Kerry Rich is a name that goes around, and in the basketball community, it carries some weight. So hiring Kerry Rich creates a bridge with a lot of people that can reach out to Kerry and connect with Kerry and tell me it might not even be about recruiting the kid. It could be something as simple as, what do you think about this kid? What level do you think this kid can play at? I just had that conversation. Obviously, me and Kerry had a conversation about Colin, but that was a very, very smart move by Coach Paris and his staff to get Coach Kerry Rich on board, because he is such a connector with the local high school coaches, the statewide high school coaches. I think that was a tremendous idea.
Coach, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for talking about your player headed to South Carolina, Colin Murray Boyles, and also, spreading out a little bit and talking about some other things in high school basketball and Gigi Jackson. Really appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you more and watching your team at Ridgeview this year. Good luck, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Coach.
All right. He is not related to Don Staley, but he's building his own name. All right. You build your own name. Of course, Staley's a very popular name, of course, in this part of the country. Deuce
The
Staley.
biggest hire that USC has made, I'm assuming for men's basketball, he just mentioned basketball. Don Staley would have probably trumped that. But the biggest hire in the last 25 years, Kerry Rich. That is high praise for Kerry, because you're talking about Eddie Fogler, you're talking about Dave Odom, and then certainly Frank Martin and now Lamont Paris. That's high praise, and I don't know that he's wrong, Phil.
It's all
With the
about
that
connections.
Kerry has. Yep,
It's
exactly.
all about, as he said, this is a personality state. That was an excellent point. He knows. It's all about connections, who you know, who you can get to know, and who you know and who they know. Kind of a couple of layers there. What you got?
But just guys, I didn't know. I didn't ask a question there. I wasn't sure how to, and in my opinion, may not carry the weight. But he just earned a new fan in me right there. I decided to research more about him. Admittedly, I was not overly familiar and knew his name, but not a lot. But I'm reading an article here from Coach and AD. I guess the magazine website. They release every year a top 40 under 40, a different class. And he was a member of the 2019 class 40 under 40. It shows how he had more than 25 student athletes signed to play college basketball and a 100% graduation rate. It just goes along to then mention all the charitable organizations he's a part of. And he was saying all the right things there. It was never me. It was talking about the best for the player and for the team. And I love hearing stuff like that from coaches. I don't know about y'all, but he earned a lot of new fans, I feel like.
No doubt.
And he handled the memory of getting drilled by Raymond Felton pretty well as well. It is a true story, though. That lady, she thought Raymond Felton was my son. When I said, that's my son. That's my boy out there. Who's your boy? Raymond Felton. Raymond Felton's your boy. Yeah, I said, you watch him put on here this afternoon. Boy, he was unbelievable that game.
Yeah,
I mean,
when
just
he said no, he put 45.
45.
On us. I was thinking he did that on everybody. I mean, that's how good a player he was.
He was something special there, boy. I tell you, his dad was a good player too. Dad could stop and pop with the best of them. All right, we'll be back after the break.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs,
Good stop, guys.
why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
Get in your car here.
That's how you make a move.
Like Southern 500 big. The only thing bigger than the action would be the experience of seeing it live. And that
I got into the wall.
might just be too tough to take.
Bring it home, bring it home.
NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 3rd through the 4th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody, and thanks to Coach Joshua Staley for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. Appreciate that very much. Working to get some Dabo Sweeney for you once he's wrapped up and the audio becomes available. We'll bring that to you here on the program. If you want to jump on board with us, 888-898-2525 is the number. Also over the weekend, how about Kevin Harvick finally breaking through, getting a win, so he advances to the playoffs. That was a good race. It was a tight race until they had that last pit stop, and then a couple of leaders got sent to the back of the pack, and that opened the door for Harvick, and he just cruised away. That's 9 straight wins for Ford at Michigan. Hearing that yesterday. So Harvick was obviously very excited. And now you've got 15 of the 16 in the playoffs have at least one win, right? There's only one driver among the top 16 without a W.
Ryan Blaney,
Yeah.
I think, is the one that's sitting on the right side of the bubble. And Martin Truex is going to have probably one of the best seasons in terms of consistency and miss the playoffs unless he figures out a way to win either this weekend on the short track, the next weekend on the road course, or the final weekend right before Darlington at Daytona. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot from now till the playoffs start. You're in bad shape. I mean, Harvick's win yesterday came from out of nowhere. He had a 65-race losing streak, if you will, before yesterday. It was incredible.
All right, another national story to touch on here before we hit the break has to deal with Oklahoma's longtime receiver coach, Cale Gundy, a former quarterback at Oklahoma, who resigned after using what he termed as shameful and hurtful language in a team meeting. If you're not aware of this, he was having a team meeting and a player wasn't paying attention. He was looking at his iPad, and he went over there, the coach did, and like a teacher will do in a class, if you're a teacher in a class and you see a student not paying attention, maybe doodling or writing something down, you'll go and pick it up and read it to the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he went and took the iPad from the player and started reading it, and he read it verbatim, what the player had written. Unfortunately, there was a word in there that was a racially charged word. You know this story, very similar. When I heard this story, it brought me right back to Danny Pearman at Clemson a few years ago. And so Gundy resigned. This is a guy's been at Oklahoma since the 90s as a player and as a coach. And, he put on Twitter his resignation, and he made it clear the words he read were not his words. It was not malicious. It wasn't even intentional. But he's falling on the sword here. And he says, a man of character accepts responsibility. I take responsibility for my mistake. I apologize. Brent Venables, head coach at Oklahoma, who was obviously there when the Pearman incident occurred as well at Clemson. He, according to the story, CBSSports.com, shed some light that led to him accepting the resignation. He said, quote, Gundy's dedicated more than half his life to Oklahoma football, has served our program university well. We're thankful for that commitment. We also acknowledge that in stepping aside, he's placed the program and the welfare of our student athletes first. In coaching and in life, we're all accountable for our actions and the resulting outcomes. The culture we're building in our program is based on mutual respect. Our staff is here to develop successful student athletes, but also young men of character. As the leader of this program, it's essential that we hold ourselves to the highest standards as we model for our players the type of men we want them to become. End of his quote. The offensive analyst, LaDamian Washington, will take over for Gundy. So again, I mean, I guess you can't read what somebody else wrote, and that person wrote something that I just knocked a picture off the wall. Sorry about that, Kev. I guess you can't read what somebody else wrote if somebody wrote something that had some racial insensitive words in them, and you're just reading it to try to wake up that person to pay attention to what you're saying, and somehow you're responsible for repeating the word. I never understood it in the Pearman case, and of course I'm way outside on this case, just reading the reports, but I don't get it here either, especially a man who has apparently an exemplary record at Oklahoma in every aspect of the job.
Well, that was my initial reaction too, Phil. But Brent Venables has actually sent out a statement this afternoon and said that he actually read the word. And I think we all know what the word we're talking about. He read it multiple times during the meeting. maybe you make the mistake once and you might survive it. If you read it, surely as you're reading stuff, I mean, there are times where we read through things on the air that have language that is not appropriate for on air that we skip over it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain words we can't say. And if we say it once, we may not be back tomorrow. But if you say it multiple times, I don't see how you survive that. And even if it is somebody else's iPad, he's got to be a little bit smarter than that.
Well, obviously, in today's world, you do have to be smarter than that. I still say, and we'll back up on this. I mean, you're in a private meeting with your guys, and you're trying to make a point to the guy who's not paying attention to you. We'll be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Muggy this evening with a low of 74. Tomorrow, more clouds than sun. There's a 30% chance of afternoon downpours and a high reaching 92. Wednesday is hot, muggy, and could be wet. While we get cooler the second half of the week with highs in the upper 80s. Looking to the weekend, very nice with sunshine and less humidity. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Everyone seems to be hiring these days, but are they good jobs where there's potential for growth? What about on-the-job training and competitive wages, including health insurance and a 401k plan? Professional Printers is looking for their next star. They're a local printer with 2 locations, 130 employees, and a national clientele. If you've got a good attitude, want to learn some great skills, and work in a positive environment, reach out on proprinters.com or apply in person at 301B Greystone Boulevard.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Former President Donald Trump said in a lengthy statement Monday that the FBI was conducting a search of his Mar-a-Lago estate. The circumstances were not immediately clear. Spokespeople for the FBI and the Justice Department did not return messages seeking comment Monday evening. Close to 1/3 of the Palestinians who died in the latest outbreak of violence between Israel and Gaza militants may have been killed by errant rockets fired by the Palestinian side, that according to an Israeli military assessment that appears consistent with independent reporting by the Associated Press. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 29 points, the Nasdaq dropped 13, the S&P 500 lower by 5, oil up $1.75 to $90.76 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange. More details at srnnews.com.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint help both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
Gas prices, grocery prices, inflation has hit us all, and it's caused the Fed to raise interest rates. As a result, after historically low mortgage rates for what seemed like forever, interest rates for a mortgage have jumped in recent months. Fran Halloran here. Let me make something clear to you. Mortgage rates are rising. They may continue to rise as the Fed tries to get a grip on inflation. What hasn't changed is the incredible customer service you'll get from Greg McCoy and Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Greg can't control interest rates. He can, however, control fees. With rates on the rise, now more than ever, you need to know you're getting the very best deal. Greg will make sure of that. He's more than just a mortgage guy. Greg McCoy is your trusted advisor. You might be surprised to learn how much Simplified Mortgage and Greg McCoy can do to help you with your biggest financial investment. Not sure? Have questions? Give Greg a call at Simplified Mortgage, 803-722-6044, or find him online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com. Greg McCoy, NMLS 119871.
Need a quality grill that'll outlast the test of time? Bart Fireside on Broad River Road in Columbia has your grill. Bart Fireside offers you a wide variety of outdoor grills. Smokers from the Big Green Egg, infrared grills by Tech, propane grills from Napoleon, and pellet grills from Green Mountain. Bart Fireside has the perfect outdoor grill for any occasion. Call them at 772-7364, and they're online at bartfireside.com.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We'll get back to what we were talking about out in Oklahoma in just a moment. Hopefully hear from Dabo Sweeney here before we get off the air tonight. But every Monday night during the baseball season, time to visit with John Kosis of the Columbia Fireflies of the Carolina League. And Fireflies trying to hang in there, 18-17, not a great week. 3-7 in their last 10, now 4 games back of the lead in the Carolina League South Division with Charleston out front. John, it's great to have you with us. I know the week didn't go as you might have hoped on the field, wins and losses, but you guys had a great crowd, a sold-out house the other night, a lot of excitement. Had to feel good to have so many people in the park.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you can say 7,500 people came on out to see the Fireflies, and I think we'll have to give credit where it's due. I think Chase and Marshall from Paw Patrol helped out a little bit with that. I think it's a great time, and we've got a lot of really fun promotions just like that coming up pretty shortly. I mean, the next time we're home, we're going to have Marvel Defender of the Diamond Night at the ballpark, and we'll be wearing specialty Black Panther jerseys. So that's just a taste of what we'll be getting into every Friday and Saturday night at the ballpark for the rest of the season.
Well, you know, we talked about this last week when you sent out the release. I mean, you guys as a team, you're in the hunt trying to make the playoffs, but this is also about development and promoting, and your best player was promoted last week. So that doesn't help the team's cause in trying to make the playoffs, but you have to just overcome that as a minor league baseball team and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the guys that came up and took the place of River Town is another LSU Eunice guy. So another JUCO guy who then went to Vanderbilt, and the Royals selected him in the 15th round of the 2022 draft. Javier Vass is the guy I'm talking about. And Vass came up to Columbia on Friday night. In his first game, he had a home run. In his second game, he had a double. So not only a hitting streak for him, I mean, back-to-back games, he's only played 2, but he's got an extra base hit in each of the 2 games that he's played. And he's looked pretty good in left field as well. So I think there's some excitement, right? We're going to start to see some of those draft phases coming along. And I think as we progress throughout that phase, that's always one of the more exciting parts about being an A-ball. You're the first people to see how these young collegiate or high school guys adapt to professional ball.
All right, set up for us how things stand regarding the second half race and how many games left and what you need to do to qualify for the postseason.
Yeah, so Columbia is now 4 games back of the Charleston River Dogs. Fortunately, Columbia also ends the season playing 6 in a row against Charleston again. So we're not done with the River Dogs just yet, and it's not as though the playoffs are completely out of reach. Columbia is 4th place in the division, but they're 1 game back of Myrtle Beach, who they're playing this week, and they're 2.5 back of Kannapolis, who they play next week. So the next 18 games, very important for the Columbia Fireflies because they're playing those top 3 other teams in the division. But there's about 30 games left in the season. And in those 30 games, Columbia's got to get hot quick. The starting pitching's been good now for 2 or 3 weeks, but got to figure out something with the bullpen. And who knows, maybe we could figure out a little bit of something with corner infield positions and the outfield, because right now the middle infield's hitting well. We have one or two guys in the outfield that are hitting okay, but you got to get some power from those corner infielders, and you got to get those corner outfielders rolling consistently if you want to go on a run.
Any help on the way from outside?
I don't know the answer to that right now. I'm sure there will be moves over the course of the last month. That's just par for the course in single A ball. But we got our first 2022 draftee on Friday, and I can't say that I know exactly what's going on in Dayton Moore's head, but I think he just had 20 guys that he had signed on the dotted line. I imagine he's not only going to send one to Columbia. I will say I saw some former Fireflies got released this last week. Rubendi Jaquez, Burl Dixon, and some other guys who are up in Quad Cities and Northwest Arkansas. They're making moves, or they're making room at those levels, which typically means next you're going to see people get called up to those levels from the Fireflies. And, within a day or two, you'll start to see people getting promoted to the Fireflies from Arizona. And 'tis the season for that to be 2022 draftees.
Mm-hmm.
John Kostis, voice of the Columbia Fireflies, with us as we go around the horn on a Monday night. And John, I hate to go back to last night, but I'm curious your take on the runner that gets placed to begin the extra innings. You had Omar Florentino last night placed on second base in the 10th inning. Ultimately, he gets picked off and you lose the ball game 4-3. That's a new rule that's sort of being instituted in baseball. Do you like that? Does it speed up the game in your mind? And taking what happened last night sort of out of the mix, is it a good rule for minor league baseball?
Yeah, Chris, that's a fantastic question. I think, honestly, it's a fantastic rule. As long as it's not put in place during the playoffs, I liken it to what a shootout does in hockey. I can't tell you how many games I've called because I've been in minor league baseball for 2 years prior to that and now 3 years after they put that into effect. But I can't tell you how many games I called before that got put into effect where you play 15, 16, 17 innings, guys can't throw more than 50 pitches, you're throwing position players out there, and at the end of the day, all you do is burn your bullpen for the entire series, and guys get hurt, or you have to make a ton of roster moves and say that someone sprained their ankle and put them on the injured list so they can't play for a week. It ends up getting really messy when you're playing those super long games in these developmental leagues like single A ball is. So to be able to have those rules off the table and just kind of get through things, and last night made the difference, right? Sunday night made the difference. So it was, you have the runner on second scores, and then the Fireflies can't get the runner on second to score. If there was no placed runner, no one would have scored in the 10th inning. We would have at least gone on to the 11th. So I think it certainly makes a difference, helps not burn as many pitchers, and if you're able to keep guys at this level healthy and have them throwing 2 or 3 times a week, I think that's more important than, having the traditional sense of the game. And again, that's, a single A take, not necessarily a Major League Baseball take. But I truthfully believe as long as you can keep that rule away from the playoffs and the games that are hyper important, that it's not a bad rule.
John, as always, great hearing from you. Have a great week. We'll see how things go, and we'll get back with you next Monday night.
Sounds perfect. Thanks so much for having me, Phil and Chris.
You got it, my man.
Thanks, John.
John Kostis of the Columbia Fireflies, and about 30 games ago. Race is still on. They still got a chance to make the postseason. But whatever happens, they've done a great job in the second half, just getting over 500 and being competitive, because they were far from that in the first half. All right, Dabo Sweeney has checked in. We'll bring some of that to you after the break. We'll take more phone calls as well. We'll continue right here on Sports Talk in a moment.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Back we are on Sports Talk. A little bit of Dabo Swinney coming up in just a moment. Let's go to Hank in Columbia before we get to some comments from Dabo Swinney, who just finished up practice talking to the media, and get a little bit of that to you. Hank, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Corn. I think when the situation with the Oklahoma, I think the big deal, which is why Venables emphasized it, was when he said it once, just reading off the guy's pad. You could pretty much excuse that. Even me as African American and say, well, he's just reading it, and then first time he sees it.
Yeah.
But Venables went on to say that I guess further down, he said it 2 or 3 more times, and then at that point, it was a problem. Even if you notice some of the players that came out in support of him as a person from years back, they said while they support him as a person and doesn't think he's malicious to me, they said what he said was unacceptable. And as I said earlier today on Teddy's show, the other night there was a caller that you were listening to that was talking, and he kind of got into a hairy area, and you kind of eased him off the air, or eased him out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that. So once you go into that multiple times, then it's clearly a problem, because for Venables, he's still a new coach that's trying to gain the trust of a majority of those players on that team that he didn't bring in there. So if you have it going into your first year in the regime, you can't have an incident of something like that could become divisive when you're trying to really establish yourself as the Oklahoma coach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would read it more than once. Once you read it the first time, maybe it should have sent off an alarm in your head. But I mean, I guess he was just a guy in the room with his players and wasn't thinking anything of it. And he was reading verbatim what another player had written. And I guess in today's world, even though it's not your words and you don't mean it and didn't come from you, you're just repeating what somebody else said. I don't care how many times you said it. It wasn't his words. It wasn't his thought. It wasn't his intent. I can't I can't explain why he said it more than once. Why he just didn't stop the first time. The guy has no history. Guy has no history of racism, from what I've read. He's not a.
He may not, but like you did the other night, you were kind of joking around with the caller,
mm-hmm.
and he was going pretty good. But then all of a sudden, he started to go down a hole that you weren't going to entertain, and you used him right off the air. And a guy that's been coaching the team that long, you sat in front of media probably 1,000 times in your life. You spoke to media reporters and all of that, so after that first time, that's something you probably got to adjust. It's kind of like emphasizing the wrong word on a even with the newscast, they'll say, okay, this may be sensitive, and they'll say something, but they're not going to continue to emphasize that.
Yeah, you're right. All right, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it. These people. I mean, it's just in this case, it's coaches that come to mind, but I guess people in general. Yeah. You just even if it's not your words, your thoughts. I mean, if a guy name the race, if a guy called up from any race and on the air here started saying something that was like racially insensitive. Okay. But then you or me or Pat jump in there and we repeated what he said. Like, you can't say blah, 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 blah. That's not nice to say blah, 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 blah. And the fact that we said blah, 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 blah gets us in trouble with people, but it wasn't our thought. It wasn't our intent. It wasn't in our heads. We're just repeating what the caller said. So
at that point, we're stooping to their level, though. I mean, if that happened, I would immediately press the dump button and drop the caller, and we would move on.
No. I get that. I'm just saying, if it happened, I mean, why? I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm just trying to understand why a career, gets blown up because you're simply, in this case, in reading somebody else's words, trying to make a point to your players in your room, your receiver's room, probably trying to embarrass the guy because he wasn't paying attention. Okay. That should cost you your job. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand.
We need to get.
I understand the sensitivity nature of it. Please, I understand that. I get that. But a life's work is just thrown out the door because of one little thing like that. That gets me a little bit. So
this would be a great teaching moment, I think, Phil, for a broader discussion. Certainly not the limited amount of time we have here. We know exactly the word he said. I'd be interested as to why it was on the player's iPad to begin with. The word is insensitive. The word is heinous. It should be, regardless of who said it, wrote it, regardless. That the bigger question is, all right, why was it on the player's iPad to begin with? The word is insensitive and should not be written, period.
I don't want to step into something here. I don't plan to step into something here.
It's a broader discussion.
Among, I've seen it and I hear it. And I've heard of, look, we're not stupid. African Americans use that word amongst themselves, at each other. Sometimes in kidding, sometimes in seriousness. It's in a lot of music, hip hop music, rap music. That word is thrown around quite a bit and easily repeated by those folks who listen to that stuff. But they're given a pass, I guess, because it's okay, amongst yourselves. And if somebody repeats it that is not African American, then they get held to a different standard, even though it's not their word, it's not their thought, it's not their concept, it's not their idea. And look, anybody can make a verbal mistake, white, black, and I think you got to look at the history of the person, the whole picture of the person. Is this a one-time incident? Does he have a great relationship with his players? Has this ever? Maybe he's not as pure as we think. Maybe there is some history back there that we don't know about. It seems kind of short-sighted to boot the guy off of this one thing.
Well, I agree with Hank, though. I think what you say at one time, it's probably a mistake that you regret and wish you had never done it. But if you continually repeat it, it's probably because you're a little more comfortable saying that word than you should be.
All right, let's go to Dabo Sweeney. I'm sure he had kind words to say about everybody today at Clemson. Everybody's great. Everybody's fantastic. Everybody is 100% all in and ready to win another championship with a team ranked 4th in the preseason poll by the coaches. Here he is just a little while ago coming off the practice field, taking questions.
Kind of good to get that ball security this early in camp.
Just one of those concentration things with the receiver. We do what we call blaster drill all the time, sometimes with the pass, sometimes with the ball, but that trying to create that feeling of when you're going to get hit, like it. It's not a question. Like it, and having those little eyes and really being able to focus and absorb the hit, And so it's a good, safe way to kind of create that feeling without, having a body on a body. So just a little practice drill.
Coach, you got Troy back, a wide receiver today, but full go. But Joseph wearing yellow.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He had a great play the other day and just kind of came down really kind of hard, made a great play. Just kind of held him for probably a day or so, but he'll hopefully be ready to go in a couple of days to scrimmage on Saturday. So he's had a great start, really good start. In fact, it was a really great play. He'll be fine.
Coach, y'all are ranked 4th in the preseason coaches poll.
Wow, man! Wow.
Any reaction to that?
No. It's kind of like I tell our players. I ask them, every year, Brian, did you get that text I sent you on, congratulating you on preseason All-American? Trenton, you got that text, right? And they all look at me like, I'm like, good, you'll never get that text. All right. If you ever do, then let me know. No, I don't really care about any of that stuff. We ranked last year and we finished 15th. So that's the only thing that mattered. At the end of the year, we finished 15th, and that heck of a finish. And that team was unbelievably committed. So it's just something to talk about right now. It doesn't have anything to do with December or November. So all that'll be determined by what happens on the field. Kind of like those recruiting rankings, right? They do that re-rank that every year. Somebody does it, and very, very seldom have we not been ranked higher 4 years later than we were when we signed them. So that's all based on performance and not potential. And so I think we got a chance to be a good team, but we got a lot of work to do.
What do you look for going into that first scrimmage? I mean, obviously it's still early in camp, and
right now we got a lot that we're doing on both sides of the ball, just really installing everything. And so that first scrimmage is it's the first time they played football, and so it's the first time really that everything up until that point is practice and situational stuff, and you have Thursday we'll have a little bit of live. Because that's the first day we can go full pads. But it's really that first, live day, and now you're trying to take everything you've been working on for, whatever that is at the time, 10 practices, and okay, let's see what else is stuck, and kind of see what we got, go back over, and then also just challenging the coaches, because it's a scrimmage. When we get out there on Saturday, it's not scripted, and so you have to respond and react to the situation. That now will create some things, but and that's the way to kind of challenge the staff from a preparation standpoint. So and then just kind of see where some of these guys are. Who is that by the end? It's a ninth, 10th practice, whatever it is. There's a lot that's going in. So where are some of these younger guys mentally? Where are we physically on both sides up front? I'm anxious to see that. So hopefully it's going to be a battle.
You feel like you're ahead of schedule from an installment standpoint?
I'd say we're right on schedule. We came in, we prepare all that stuff coming into camp, and we haven't had to pull back or anything like that. So we're just kind of right on schedule where we plan to be.
What do you see from Antonio Williams the first few days?
He's quick as a cat. He's a really instinctive player. He's still got a lot going on, trying to maximize all of his reps. But he's just all three of those freshmen. I couldn't be more pleased. That's a great group. Adam Randall. He had the fastest wide receiver time in practice the other day. We GPS all these guys. He had the fastest time of all the wide receivers. I looked at it again. I'm like, wait. And he ran like 20 miles an hour or something like that. It's crazy. And he's a true freshman. And he's I saw enough in him in the spring, that I haven't had a chance to have Cole and Antonio. Man, these are two exciting prospects. Cole Turner, he hadn't dropped a ball. He catches everything. If he touches it, he catches. He's got some of the most natural ball skills and just body control and reactionary ability to wherever the ball is. Everything he touches, he catches. He's a kid that needs a year in the weight room, but I'm telling you, that kid right there is going to be special. And then Antonio is just I told you all the other day, just a really smooth, very knowledgeable young player. He's got a lot of good experience. He's played ball at a high level, in this state, and he's had a lot of success. And you see that in him. He's still got to get stronger, and we still got to bring him along. And he's competing with some pretty good vets out here. And so we got a good group, man. Receivers it's been a real bright spot for us in the camp. I'm really proud, man. E.J. Williams he's made a couple of really great plays that you saw, that freshman year. That group has been a positive, and I'd say the same thing with our secondary guys too. It's been a very competitive 3 days.
You think Cole could?
All right. right, Dabo Sweeney. That's a good piece of him from today after practice. We'll get it all up on our website for you this evening if you want to take a listen to it. From Clemson Way tomorrow, we will be visiting with some USC players. There's going to be a player session tomorrow after the Gamecocks practice, so we'll have that covered for you. Put that on the website and put that on Twitter, and continue our coverage of the camps there. Mr. Bergen, any final thoughts from you?
No, sir. Good stuff today to kick off the brand new week. Headed towards, as you pointed out earlier, high school football jamborees kicking off this weekend. Looking forward to that for sure.
Now, you're going to be at one on Friday, right?
Yep, going down to the CMB kickoff in Conway down to Coastal Carolina. Looking forward to that.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being with us. We look forward to being with you again tomorrow night. Thank you, Pat, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Local in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Columbia's local talk radio experience. 107 The Point.
Make thepointradio.com.
The Point. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.